Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new to OT Rex, welcome. My channel is about MBCOT prep as well as some informative videos about my experiences and learning strategies as a fairly new occupational therapist. So welcome. Thank you for all the lovely new subscribers and comments. I do read all of them. Just keep in mind that I can't necessarily follow through with your video requests, but I do look at them and acknowledge them. So keep them coming so that I know what kind of videos you're interested in for future reference. So let's get started. Today's video is going to be a quick and dirty rundown of handwriting development. I find that breaking the information down and turning it into fun but simple mnemonic devices can be very helpful in studying for the MBCOT or even as a practitioner if you need to revisit this information. So here is my little breakdown from years 1 through 6. Let's get started at year 1. So for year 1, all you have to remember is that a child is scribbling at this age. So I drew the number 1 surrounded by a whole bunch of scribbles because that's basically what they're doing right now. Easy peasy. When you get to age 2, you are now starting to imitate certain shapes. Now there's a difference between imitating and copying, and that's very important to note during handwriting development. For imitating, it's when you are replicating a certain shape by watching someone else's movement. So if I drew a circle in front of you and you saw me draw it, then you would be imitating me drawing the circle. So at age 2, I drew a very dotted lined 2 because a child at this age can only imitate the following shapes. It would be a vertical line, a horizontal line, and a circle. And I use the 2 as kind of an imagery because if it was a solid 2, I would think that they already knew how to copy a design on their own. But at this point, they kind of need a little bit of help. They need to see someone doing it and they need to see the motion in order to imitate it. So that's what's going on at age 2. And something else that's helpful to note is that a vertical line always comes before a horizontal line in handwriting development. An easy way to remember that is that drawing up and down is a lot easier than going left to right or across because you have to cross midline. So that's a higher level, piece of development than just staying in one zone and drawing up and down. At age 3, we have a nice and solid number 3 with an additional curve because at the age of 3, we are now able to copy the vertical line, horizontal line, and the circle. So copying means that you are able to imitate an existing model to replicate. So copying would be just like what you would do at school when you're copying off the board. Something is already written there for you and you are able to recreate and draw those images and shapes and letters on your own. So to me, that means that you have a solid understanding of how to make these shapes. So that's why I drew a very solid and distinct 3 as opposed to imitating at age 2. I also drew a circle around the 3 and a curved 3 because the bottom of a 3 and the top of a 3 kind of look like a circle. At the age of 3, you also start cutting circles, and I like to remember it this way, so that's a little visual aid for you. Between the ages of 4 to 5, you are now able to copy a cross, a diagonal, a square, as well as the other diagonal. So the main takeaway for ages 4 to 5 is the square and the cross. So what I did was I combined all these shapes into a little poster board imagery for you. So 4 plus 5, we have the square and the 2 diagonals that kind of make the stand of the poster board or whatever you see here. And Those are the main things you want to remember for a 4 to 5-year-old. They can copy these 4 shapes, as well as some alphabet letters and numbers. Between the ages of 5 to 6, I drew a big letter A because at this age you're able to copy a triangle, as well as most of your ABC letters, as well as your name. So when you think 5 to 6, you really want to think about triangle and their alphabet letters. Now, this makes sense to me because when you think of a 5 or 6-year-old, this is when kindergarten is kind of approaching, or they might already be in kindergarten. So, this is a really good way to think of what are kindergartners learning. And for the most part, they're going to be familiarized with different shapes as well as letters and even writing their name. So, this is a kind of perfect and straightforward image that the alphabet letter A will indicate that a 5 to 6-year-old is able to write most of their letters, as well as the top of the letter A creating a triangle, which means that they can copy a triangle at the ages 6 to 7. Last but not least is the age 6. And the main takeaway for a 6-year-old is that they are now able to copy a diamond. So I drew the number 6 and I surrounded it with a diamond as a nice and simple visual aid. When you start reviewing this and thinking about the overall progression of handwriting, start to think about what makes sense to you. It makes sense to me that you would imitate before you would copy because you won't know how to create those shapes yet. So you need someone to show it to you. And at 2, that's what's happening. You're imitating. But after that and you're 3, you are now able to really have a good motor memory of what certain shapes look like. And starting from the age of 3, you are now able to copy images. It's also important to consider a child's visual motor and visual perceptual skills. As they're developing, more complex shapes become easier to understand, perceptualize, and therefore copy and draw. So when I think of a diamond is more complicated than a square because of the orientation. So you can kind of use process of elimination if you're given 4 options on at what age is a child, able to copy a diamond. If it's a 3-year-old and the answer choice has a diamond versus a square, you should remember the square is going to be easier to draw because of the overall progression of shapes that they can draw. So those are things that you want to keep in mind as you practice or review, whether it's for the MBCOT or whether you are working with children already in field work or in practice. And that concludes our video for today. I hope this is helpful for some of you. Stay motivated, be good to yourself, and take care. Wishing you all the best of luck on your studies and on your OT journey, and I'll catch you next time.